Hello, Bryan Colter here, Evolutionary Astrologer, for another horoscope report for the upcoming Gemini new moon that happens in just a couple days on May 30th. But really, we're going to be describing the energy for at least the first half of June. So we have a lot of Gemini going on. We've fully entered the Gemini season. We have Mercury wrapping up its retrograde. We got a lot of Aries. We got a lot of Taurus. So how do all these very complex archetypes mix and match, creating kind of this meta archetype that we can play with in this co-creative process with the divine for our own betterment and evolution? Let's go ahead and dive right in and take a look at the chart. So let me bring it up here. So the first thing we notice here is all these planets are really bunched up into one section of the sky, going from Pisces to Gemini. We have a couple of outliers down here, being Saturn and Pluto. Saturn's going to be playing a big role here, as we'll see. But really, the one that grabbed my attention first was this Mars and Jupiter conjunction. Jupiter is known as the king of the gods. Here it is next to the god of war, Mars, and they're both in Aries, which is Mars's sign. Jupiter is really quite strong when it's in any fire sign, so here it is in Aries, very, very strong. And it's on steroids because here it is next to Mars in its own sign. Whenever a planet's in its own sign, it is so strong. Mars, the energy it carries is qualities and virtues such as strength and courage and bravery and assertiveness. It's the symbol of action. So what this tells us right away, part of the evolutionary intention is to expand Jupiter, the planet of expansion, our inner warrior and our strength and our fire. Okay, there's going to be more to say about that, but that's our first clue. Another big one here is now we're in the Gemini season. The sun is almost a third the way through this sign once the new moon hits. The moon has joined it. And this is an air sign. I love the combination of fire and air. They synergize with each other quite nicely. And what we see here is the Mars-Jupiter conjunctions in a beautiful sextile aspect to this Gemini, so they naturally support each other. So the evolutionary intentions of both these pairs of planets are going to be connected with each other. And they can benefit each other if worked with actively. And when we have a combination of air and fire, the energy they represent is dynamic, is active, is kinetic. Makes me think of the phrase wildfire. Okay, so there's a lot of energy, and of course there's good ways to be working with that energy. And our first clue, really, all new moons are about new beginnings. It's like maybe it's like a good analogy would be you're writing a book and you've just reached a new chapter. You know, once a month the new moon happens. What is this new chapter that I'm writing? Well, it's going to be, it's wanting to be manifested as this very specific cocktail of energies. So Gemini is the sign of curiosity, the sign of communication. This energy is very frenetic and chatty. A good way of asking yourself, well, what is this new chapter I want to write? What's this new beginning? It's titled Gemini for starters. It's like try to go within and figure out. It's about mental exploration. It's an air sign. It's on the mental plane. Figure out, what am I curious about? What new beginning should I create? Well, try to find those threads of curiosity you have within you and then pull at them, see where they lead you. Ultimately, Gemini is the symbol of learning. So what's this new beginning, this new Aries, martial, we could say adventure? I think that's what I'm going to title this video, Call to Adventure, Call to Learning something daring, learning something you haven't done before. So this is a beautiful way for these energies to support each other. As you cultivate the inner warrior, you cultivate your inner warrior king who has the confidence, who believes in yourself, and go towards some new beginning that is going to mentally stimulate you. And mental is really a key word here because of the air energy. Also, we have a lot of earth, so it's not only fire and air. But one of these planets in Taurus is Mercury, the planet that naturally rules Gemini. So the planet itself kind of has an airy quality. But here it is in an earth sign of Taurus. And as many of you know, it's been retrograding the last few weeks. And on May 30th, the new moon, it will be slowing down its retrograde. It is what's called stationing. It's starting to station. It's going to hit that standstill in the sky about 4 days later from our perspective on Earth, and then it's going to go direct again, stop its retrogradation, and finish up these last degrees of Taurus and re-enter Gemini, and then the air energy is going to increase even more. And in the last video, it was very much focused on, I called it soul retrieval. That was for the blood moon. It was wildly shamanic. And it was a good time to go within and dredge, just bring up some old stuff that needs to be utterly transmuted and dredge that stuff up, kick up the emotional dust, if you will, because it very much activated this Scorpio South node, which is about transforming our woundedness so that we can reach this North node in Taurus, all these planets up here in Taurus, which is about peace. So peace is going to be a big theme here. So we've been through the blood moon. We've done the dredging. Now it's time to take, which is very much an earthy word. We could also say it's a Saturn word. Here we notice the Saturn in Aquarius is in a very tight square to that Mercury, which is stationing, ending the retrograde. So, Saturn has an earthy quality to it because it rules Capricorn. And words that are associated with Saturn are like pragmatism, accountability, duty, responsibility. Here it is in another air sign of Aquarius. This is the energy of the scientists with using objective reasoning. Let's look at some of these mercurial thought structures. Mercury has been in retrograde the last few weeks, which it's ending, which is the mind turned inward. Mercury represents our head, our intelligence, our thoughts. Anytime a planet's in retrograde, that energy of that planet, the archetype is kind of flipped over or reversed or turned inward, wanting us to look into the mind. And of course, that's why there's a lot of miscommunications, misinterpretations during Mercury retrograde, because it's like it's not coming out right. It's not pushing out like when the planet goes direct. So it's a great time to really internalize. And of course, we've been internalizing that wildly shamanic blood moon. So the dredging happened. Now it's time to mentally reflect, as we finish up this retrograde and look at what happened within us. Now, it didn't affect everybody the same way, this blood moon. If that blood moon happened to land in a very sensitive place in your chart, you felt it more than the average bear, but it did affect quite a lot of us. And now we can look back with this through the eyes of the scientist using objective reason. And it's like, okay, this happened. There might have been an external trigger, some big event happening in your life, but we're mainly looking within and trying to have more mental awareness about what some of our thought structures have really dominated our inner sphere, dominated our consciousness, really over the last month or so as we've been going through the eclipse season. And even Taurus has similar words as Saturn. It's like responsibility, taking ownership, okay, of our own mental stuff, okay? And now Mercury's ending its retrograde. Let's try to dissolve some of these thought patterns that have been pesky within us, probably throughout our entire life, because a lot of these thought patterns are habitual, they're subconscious, they're ingrained behavior. They're only within us because we've created them over and over and over again. And some of those this month, part of the purpose of the blood moon is to transform some of those thought structures. And now we're doing this last sort of look at this, in the microscope with detached observation, no praise, no blame, just looking at that and finding more Taurus stability within our mind that we can, get rid of some of that stuff so it's out of the way so that we can really use all this kinetic wildfire energy for our own betterment and evolution. And the meditation we'll do at the end of this video, I called it Fire Puja meditation. Many years ago, I did a Fire Puja ceremony for the first time. And basically what it was, I'm a little foggy on the details, it's been a long time, but we as a group individually wrote on a piece of paper a lot of the stuff within us that we'd like to change, that we'd like to purify and dissolve. And then we went to the beach, we lit a big bonfire, and in ceremonial fashion, we threw the piece of paper in the fire and let some of those go. And I love the imagery of purifying with fire, all this strong warrior fire energy, some of our thought patterns by literally throwing it in the fire. So in the meditation we'll do later in the video, we'll be basically doing that same process. So the fire puja, it is a purifying fire. And as we burn up some of these negative thought structures, what happens? It creates more peace within our mind, okay? Which all this Taurus energy is so strong here. This horseshoe shape here, this north node in Taurus, is like the collective karmic medicine, and both individually but also collectively, we're striving for that north node, the healthy expression of that Taurus, to help heal from some of the scorpionic bad karma that has ripened within the collective. So, I like to call the north node, whether transiting or in your personal birth chart, the point of enlightenment in your chart. Because if you really master this north node, it's like getting an A+ on your report card. You graduate and move on to the next lesson and find deep, meaningful evolution. So this point of enlightenment going through Taurus, strengthened by Mercury stationing, about to end its retrograde in Taurus, next to Uranus in Taurus. Meanwhile, Venus has just entered Taurus, and Venus is the planet that rules Taurus. Notice how many planets we have in their own sign, by the way. That just leaps out. Venus in Taurus. You're going to have Mercury in Gemini for a lot of June. It's not going to take too long before it re-enters Gemini, its own sign. You have Mars in Aries. You have Neptune in Pisces, its own sign. And you have Saturn in the other sign that rules Aquarius. Wow, like half of the planets are in their own sign. We've entered a place where the archetypes are very pure and powerful, and we can really grow rapidly if we're actually proactively working with them. If they're in the forefront of our conscious awareness, and it's like, okay, how can I play with the archetypes today? And play is a good word during Gemini season. It's like, how can I play? How can I have a good time? There is quite a joyous spirit in this. Jupiter has a joyous energy. It's in a sign it likes. Venus, the goddess of love and peace, in its own sign of Taurus. Gemini has a playful energy to it. So how can I play? How can I use this energy for fun? How can I, here's another theme, face my fears to evoke courage? That's the warrior mantra. So there's so many ways to work with this energy. You're talking about a new beginning where you follow the threads of your curiosity. Hopefully those threads will bring you right to the borders of your comfort zones, and you're invited to barrel through them as a warrior can. So this is a call to adventure. And in Venus's case, this is a very calming influence here. Goddess of peace, as I said, goddess of serenity and tranquility. Here she is in the sign of nature, the sign of the body. Okay. So how can we have a deeper relationship with our own body? I love the idea of exercise here. Through exercise, it's a great way to use this frenetic or kinetic energy between this wildfire, Aries and Gemini. Now, if you don't use the energy in healthy ways, like, for example, exercise, you can manifest it in more unhealthy ways, like stress or having accidents or something like that. So if, the energy cannot be destroyed, it has to be used in one way or another. It's better for it to manifest on our terms rather than it just running through us randomly. So exercise is a great way to use this energy. And actually, the metaphor I like for this time is, the exercise doing planks. It's a very simple exercise. You stay stationary in the push-up position, and you just hold that plank, where the body is straight. It's actually pretty hard to do, even though it's a simple exercise. And that's a very warrior thing. I mean, you're strengthening all the core muscles. You stand up straighter. It actually helps you with the confidence as your body gets stronger. But also when you do a plank exercise, you're strengthening all those tiny little stabilizer muscles, which help us to keep our balance. So it's a good warrior activity. It's exercise, but it's also Taurus in the sense that we find more balance within our spirit. That's Venus and Taurus. The more balance we find, the more peace, the more serenity we have within our consciousness. And since the North Node is in Taurus, the faster we grow. So in summation, you have these cluster of planets up here. And it's important to know where all these signs are in your own personal chart, because then these are where these planets are, whatever houses of the chart that they're in. So you want to pay close attention to like the first 10 degrees of Aries in your chart. Pay close attention to the later degrees of Aries and early degrees of Taurus, because then Venus is going to be going through that area of your chart. Where can I face my fears to evoke courage? That's the more Mars-Jupiter piece. Have more faith in myself, expand into life as the warrior king. Where can I create more balance, peace, and serenity? What house is that in? And also, where's Mercury in the new moon? It's like, where can I learn? Where can I think, okay, where are these threads of curiosity with this specific house or area of my life? And where does this new beginning want to be created? And ultimately, where does this new path of learning need to happen? Because Mercury is about learning, Gemini is about learning. It is the symbol of learning. It's a very chatty energy, as I said, the sign and planet of communication and of thoughts. We talked about that before, purifying the thoughts, throw them in the fire. They've been dredged. Now let's release them. But also, it's like our core perception of reality. And of course, the more we purify those low consciousness or low frequency thought patterns, those subconscious stinkers, the more we purify those, the clearer we perceive reality. But it's through having fresh experience and learning, using this kinetic blast of energy, the more we embrace life as a grand adventure and throw ourselves into that, we collect new data in, we have fresh experience, and if we can enter it in the Geminian spirit of whatever I believe reality to be, it's not quite that. I'm open to be stretched, I'm open to explore, I'm open to seeking the wonder, the amazement, the shock, and a surprise, because ultimately I want to learn, I want to have fun, I want to be curious, and I want to perceive reality more clearly than I have historically. So pay close attention to where these planets are in your chart. In fact, recently I did a almost 90-minute in-depth horoscope where I talked about all the rising signs and where these planets are based on the rising sign in somebody's chart. That's on my Patreon community. If you're interested in checking that out, we're in our 3rd month. It's going very well. Well, you can see the link on the screen here, but I'll put a hyperlink down in the show description. So, this energy feels fun to me. Of course, it's not going to be fun for everybody on the planet. But if we can allow these blending of archetypes, if you will, to help to, it's just a set of energies. How we want to play with those energies is totally up to us. That's where free will comes in. Again, in this co-creative process with the divine. And there's beautiful ways to work with these energies. These energies will also create stumbling blocks potentially, which I didn't talk about so much. But we're talking about the high-end, higher octave potentials of this to ultimately put our personal growth and evolution into hyperdrive. And those are the core evolutionary intentions, with the goal being to expand our consciousness. Now we're going to transition into the fire puja. Now we're going to transition into the fire puja purification meditation. Use headphones for best results because I use a technology called binaural beats. Enjoy. Begin by focusing on your breath, and your awareness follows the inhale through your nose into your belly and then your lungs, and then exhale. Nice, slow breathing. And as you inhale, you feel your upper body expand, all the tissues expand. And as you exhale, feel the relaxation. Letting go of any stress, surrendering into the process of going within. And now bring your awareness down through your legs, all the way to your feet. Feel as though you're in both your feet. And visualize a beautiful sky blue color in both of your feet. And slowly on the next inhale, see the sky blue color go up to the ankles. And then up into the calf area. And now into the knees. And as you visualize the blue color, feel all the tissues in your legs soften and let go. And now up into the thighs. And into the hips. And now focus on both of your legs, from the bottom of your feet all the way up to your hips. And visualize them in that sky blue color, in and around your legs. This color has a very calming effect. And now the color enters your pelvic floor and comes up the lower back to the middle back, into the upper back and scapula, and up and over your shoulders, and then comes down your chest and into your solar plexus. See it in your liver and your spleen. And now into the abdomen and back down to the pelvic floor. And on the next inhale, bring the blue color back up towards the shoulders. And on the exhale, see it flow down both your arms to the elbows, wrists, hands, all the way to the fingertips. And on the next inhale, it goes from the fingertips back up towards the shoulders and into the neck and up into the head. And now spread your awareness throughout your entire body and feel your body and see this sky blue color. On the next inhale, you see the blue color grow brighter. And on the exhale, you relax even more. And now move your attention down to the solar plexus and visualize a beautiful emerald green color shining bright like a jewel in your solar plexus. And with each inhale, this green jewel glows brighter, shines in all directions. You're breathing in strength to your subconscious. And continue this visualization with the emerald green jewel for a few more breaths. Now slowly let the colors fade. And I want you to visualize that you're sitting in front of this beautiful bonfire. And you're looking into the fire, and you're just in awe of the beauty as you watch the dancing flames. You can feel the warmth on your face and your body. The energy of fire is purifying, it cleanses. And as you're sitting in front of the fire, I want you to think back over the last month or so about some of the repetitive thought patterns that you would like to dissolve and transform. They can be emotions too. Any thought or emotion that helped create more fear within you, or grief, or pain, or stress, or division, helped you to get caught up in the illusion of separateness and divided you from your true nature of divinity. And look at these with a detached observation. Don't feed them energy, just see them for what they are. Any judgment towards yourself or others. Anything low consciousness that you'd like to change. And then visualize your etheric hand reaching in to your stomach area and just pulling these thought forms or emotional forms out. You can visualize it as pulling out like a black oil or smoke or something like this, and just pull it out with your etheric hand and just toss it into the fire. You're letting it go. And you notice as you throw it into the fire responds. It grows a bit brighter and stronger as it purifies. And then the black energy you were throwing in, you see rise above the flames as a white energy. And then you breathe this white, pure, etheric vitality into your lungs and chest where it enters your heart. This is your energy. You created it. We're just transforming it back into love and light. So you throw the blackness into the fire and breathe in the white into your heart. Out with the black, in with the white. Out with the black, in with the white. Release, dis-ease, transform, reborn. Release, dis-ease, transform, reborn. Release, dis-ease, transform, reborn. And continue with this visualization. Just let it all go. Bring it in transmuted. Continue this visualization for a couple more minutes, and then I'll come back. Release, dis-ease, transform, reborn. And now slowly let the fire fade, and you return your attention to the green jewel in your solar plexus. Seeing it more perfect, almost as if you removed some flaws from the jewel. And then bring your attention up to the chest area and visualize a beautiful pink color in and around your chest, with a small golden sun at the center. And on your next inhale, see that pink with the golden sun glow as brightly as you can imagine. And now remember an experience that you really loved, where you felt great pleasure and joy and happiness. Remember how beautiful that was, as you feel a smile in your heart. And say some words of love to your heart. And now expand your awareness throughout your entire body. And now visualize your whole body shining in a beautiful white light as a star being shining in all directions. And as the music begins to fade, very slowly, begin to wiggle your fingers and toes and stretch your body. And whenever you're ready, open your eyes.